Good tackle. No, sorry, that isn't a tackle. That's a shoulder charge, spear charge, whatever. The arm has gone.
Rugby, a game home to hard hits, hard drives, often regarded as a hooligan's game played by gentlemen.
This is not soccer, is that clear?
I had the honor to interview a gentleman of this sport, Iona rugby captain, Connor Byrne. Connor was born on June 26, 2001 in Brisbane, Australia. He followed in his father's footsteps and picked up the sport at a very young age.
So I've been playing rugby since I was about 5 years old. So I've been playing a very long time, and obviously at that age, you don't really have too much say in what you do. You just kind of go along with the flow. And rugby was obviously a big part of my dad's life, so he sort of got me into it. Sort of playing ever since then, and really just enjoyed the sport and have continued through since.
Connor continued to excel in the sport during his teen years. When the time came to pick a university to attend, Iona was one of the schools at the top of his list.
I always wanted to travel. Traveling sort of been a big part of my life. I was pretty lucky enough because obviously going through the process, I talked to a few schools, and Iona sort of ticked all the boxes as far as school, rugby, location goes. But I would say the biggest attraction for me and the sort of thing that sealed the deal was definitely my phone conversations with Bruce.
I knew he was going to be very comfortable with the university, but leaving your country and coming somewhere else is difficult. So I had a couple of Australian internationals that I had used to coach. This guy Phil Bailey and this other guy Luke Milton played rugby for Australia. Called over to Connor and his family and tried to make him feel comfortable that I had already taken in Australian players and that they were going to feel, he was going to feel a good thing, and he was going to feel the love that we try to foster here at Iona and everywhere in New York for that matter.
Growing up and playing rugby, coaches have been sort of a big part of who I am.
Yeah, when Connor first joined, I guess I was playing with him then, so what did I see? I mean, he was young. He wasn't too big at the time, but he knew the game. He was very smart, and I think most importantly, he showed he had the work ethic and the drive to be a really good player and a really good leader. He had the talent and the IQ too, but when you have that work rate and that drive, I think it's more important than anything, and he had all three, which was pretty cool.
You often learn more from them than just rugby, and I've sort of learned how to be a man from a lot of my coaches.
After a successful 15 season in 2019, Connor was geared on practicing, getting ready for the 7th season in the spring. All was going
Overnight, a 1-mile containment zone officially went into effect in New Rochelle.
That zone is a 1-mile radius centered around the Young Israel Synagogue.
Let's look at the situation. We have about 108 cases in New Rochelle. Just to put it in perspective, we have 36 cases in New York City.
New Rochelle was ground zero for the pandemic. While many feared for their lives, Connor would find solace and peace with his new comrades.
Especially our grade, we got really close just because we sort of did anything we could to play rugby, whether that be go out and play touch or throw the footy around campus, or whenever we could get out, whenever we could get a rugby ball in our hands, that's all we tried to do.
We were both incoming new boys, so we just got to work together, and after that we started hanging out a little bit after practice and just hit it off after that. So
Bruce was trying to get us into the same room, me, Billy, and him, and Nate Mosher, but that ended up not working out, and it was me and Billy, and then Connor Byrne was across the hall.
Iona would return in fall 2021, and what can be described as a dream season. Iona would have a 100% away win rate and its crowning achievement, the Liberty Conference Championship.
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal moment. To come out of the pandemic and then win a Liberty Championship, I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for it, just because we have such high expectations of ourselves. But to be in the moment and to win that championship, it was awesome. Especially with those boys we went through the pandemic with, we went through the struggles with. To be around those boys and to win that, and to take home the championship was pretty surreal.
Me, Connor, and Pope were all chasing it, and Connor was the one that initially got it, and then he dished it to me, and then I dished it to Pope and scored, and it was a really cool sequence of plays.
And that particular try, I always cherish it, and I watch it every now and then because it was, I think Bobby made the hit, and then I sort of picked up. No, Bobby made the hit, picked up the ball, offloaded me, and then I passed it through to AJ, and then AJ to Pope. I remember that sequence like it was yesterday, but that particular try was big too because I feel like those are all a lot of my close mates, a lot of my close friends, and that just, I know that moment kind of speaks a lot to our chemistry and just how we support each other.
The following year's title defense would be a bit more difficult. After a surprising loss to Fairfield, the coaches decided to move Connor from a back to a forward.
But, so that transition from backs to forwards wasn't sort of something that was unusual for me. But certainly, as you get to higher level rugby, you get to the specifics, especially as you mentioned the scrums, the lineouts. It just sort of requires a mindset shift.
Having him in the forward pack makes a big difference defensively outside of the set piece. Even in the back line, he's just been playing a long time, so he knows his way around the pitch, and he can play pretty much anywhere.
The struggles would continue though, as Iona would miss the playoffs that year. And in the spring 7th season, the woes would continue for Connor and Iona, as during the 7th season in 2023, he sustained a major debilitating injury.
I've always been someone that kind of is a bit stubborn. So, when it comes to injuries and when it comes to hurting, it's like, sort of deciding in your head whether you're hurting or you're actually injured. And it's also important to think about whether you can kind of make an impact on the field anymore, or is it better for someone else to come on and come fresh.
Connor would keep his head held high. He would be promoted to captain in his final 15 season with the team, returning Iona to the playoffs and propelling them to the play-in round for the National Collegiate Rugby Championship.
And I think I've done a decent job of that. Along with Antonelli, along with the coaches. I think a lot of people have worked really hard to get Iona to where it is today, especially moving through those challenges.
Oh, it was great. He was a great captain. Held the team up when we were down, brought us back up when we were down, picked up the boys.
It was great. Of all the captains I've had, he's probably the best motivator. I think all the other boys would agree too. He doesn't say much, but when he does, it's very impactful.
Definitely respected his knowledge of the game, him playing it since he was really little in Australia, and maybe different point of views. And he's a baller, man. So what's not to trust?
Connor's not leaving Iona behind empty-handed though. He leaves behind a legacy with the team, brothers who love him, and countless memories that will be remembered forever.
So I wouldn't say I have any regrets. My biggest message, just to the next generation, or sort of the next team, the next, sort of cycle of students, is just to sort of make it your own.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, working out with you, grinding on the field. You've been a real good friend, and I can't wait to see you down in Australia when I come visit.
Can it be 4 words?
Sure.
I would say servant of Iona Rugby.
I love you, I'll miss you, and I hope to see you a ton of times.
I love you, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of all your accomplishments in Iona. You exceeded any expectations that I had, and I think that the Iona community is very fortunate